So as you can see, the Raptor works really, really good. I'm sorry, Shane. Maybe the next dust boot, we'll name it Night Rider, but you gotta upload it. Thank you guys for all voted Raptor. I'm sorry, Shane. Don't hate me. Real fast though, I want to say thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. You guys have been a tremendous blessing to me and my family. And a year ago, some stuff went down, some things happened, and now this has kind of like turned into a full-time job. And you guys have got us through the year this year, and I'm really bad at promoting my own stuff, and you guys are constantly promoting my stuff, and I just can't thank you guys enough. You guys have been a huge blessing to me and my family. So with that being said, one thing I wanted to do with this dust boot is there's a couple things I wanted to do. The major things I wanted to do with this dust boot was get the cost way down. And I also wanted to try to improve the suction if I could. And I also wanted to make it to where you could swap this back out for a 4-inch version or a 2.5-inch version without having to buy a whole new boot with the Nighthawk. So my Nighthawks were designed, one was designed for high static pressure, which is the 2.5-inch version, and then the 4-inch version was designed for high CFMs. And I designed both dust boots completely differently. I really wanted to make sure that the 4-inch had as close as possible with the big giant oval shape for a 4-inch DC system. The last thing you want to do with a DC system, unless you're talking about like a Harvey or like an Oneida high static pressure system with an impeller 4-inch system, you want to make sure you don't restrict the airflow. So like you don't want to go restricting it down to 2.5 inches, because what you end up doing is you cut the CFMs in half, you start starving the DC system, and then the actual sucking power is just horrible. So the biggest thing I want to do with this dust boot was still get it to work really, really well with a 2.5-inch system, but then also get it to play nice with a DC system without restricting airflow. So I did an oval shape. It's not as big as the Nighthawks. It's a happy medium, I would say, and it plays nice with DC systems. And it works really well in dry vacs. In my basement, I run a dry vac system, a cheapo Stanley from Walmart that I bought for like 60 bucks. And then I'm using a dust separator. One of the biggest things is when it comes to dust collection, you definitely want a dust separator. And then you also want to make sure you're not using like a 1-inch or 1.5-inch hoses. Those tend to clog extremely easy. One of the best things you can do if you have a dust separator is get one of these 2.5-inch hoses, as it will allow for bigger chip evacuation through. If you're cutting at the actual feed rates that we should be cutting on these machines, and the Onefinity is great because you can actually cut on the Onefinity with a Makita router at actual feed rates that are going to produce chips. And you don't want to clog, then this is definitely what you want. I see a lot of people running really slow and stuff like that. Makita router 3 setting, I'm in plywood, 1/4-inch dock. I'm running 250 inches per minute. And it just chews through and leaves a perfect finish on this plywood. So once you start getting into the actual feed rates that the end mill should be ran at and stuff like that, then you start producing chips, and then you start clogging if you have too small of hoses. So I highly recommend this vinyl 2.5-inch hose. This thing works really, really well. With that being said, I really wanted to make this thing cheap, and I wanted to play nice with both the DC and the dry vac systems. And I also wanted to make it so that way if you're a YouTuber or whatever, and I actually didn't come up with this idea, someone else gave me this idea, and if he gives me the okay, I'll definitely out him. But until then, I'm going to keep his name secret. But he gave me the idea, essentially saying that he wished he could pause the machine, pull the dust boot right off without having to move anything, hit resume, get his shots, pause the machine, and then put it back on and then walk away, so that way he got the shot. And that got me thinking, how can I do this? And so that's why we did these separate brush rings and things like that. But so that's something I really wanted to achieve. Plus I wanted the thumb screw, quick adjustment anywhere like that. I wanted to achieve that, and I also wanted to make sure that I made it cheap. So pre-order week, 1 week, this dust boot, doesn't matter if it's 65, doesn't matter if it's an 80 millimeter, doesn't matter if it's 2.5 or 4 inch, it's $100. That's the pre-order. And then after that, every version of the dust boot, this dust boot right here, will be 120. I completely redesigned this to get the price way down, so that way I could give you guys the savings on the price, because I don't try to charge ridiculous amounts. The Nighthawk was just really expensive to make, and there's a couple things I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure it worked with the DC system great. I wanted to make sure it picked up MDF, plywood, big giant strips. I wanted to make sure it would suck up anything, and if you're going to clog the system, you're going to be clogging it 2.5 inch hose on the system, which is very well possible. You can actually clog the 2.5 inch hose. 4 inch harder to clog, but very well possible. I've actually, not on this machine, but I have actually clogged a 4 inch 10 horse DC system with MDF, believe it or not. It's really not that hard. Especially when you got big machines that are industrial grade that are moving. But so I wanted to make sure that this was like not going to clog very easily. I wanted to make sure you could really push material through the 2.5 inch hose, 4 inch hose, and at the same time be cost efficient. And I think we did that with the Raptor. And so I'm really excited about this. Hopefully you guys are excited about this. And again, thank you guys for all the continued support that you guys have shown us. And you guys are absolutely amazing, and none of this would be possible without any of you. So, yeah, thank you guys. God bless you, and have a great day.